Welcome to Driven, the Unscripted Success podcast, with your hosts, Mike Manino and Nariman Hamden, bringing you insights and stories on achieving personal, professional, and financial success.
Hey guys, I'm Nariman Hamden, and this is Driven, Unscripted Success podcast. You can follow us on YouTube, Spotify, and Apple. We've got an awesome guest on today. We've got Rick Severance. Rick has been in the real estate industry for over 20 years. He's a realtor and a developer. He is currently the president of Welland Park, which is an 11-acre master plan community in Venice, Florida. It's one of the top-selling communities in the U.S., and he is basically a placemaker with some of the most successful and impactful developments under his leadership. He's also a husband and a father of 3 daughters. Hey, Rick, how you doing?
I'm great. How are you?
I'm doing well. Thank you so much for coming on. I appreciate it.
My pleasure. Thank you for asking me.
Yeah, I'm glad you came. So why don't we start with, why don't you give us a quick snapshot of your business right now, what you do and what your company does?
Sure. So I'm Rick Severance. We have 11,000 acres in Venice, Florida. I'm a master plan developer, and we have everything from single family residential to multifamily residential. We have 18 single family builders, 4 multifamily builders, 2 hospitals, 4 schools, 600,000 square feet of medical office, retail and commercial. So it's the suite, and we also are the home to the Braves organization for their spring training facility. We're about 8.5 miles from the beach and 6 miles from 75. So really fortunate to still have a waterside vibe to what we do and what we sell without the insurance rates of being on the water on the coast.
Yeah, absolutely. And those rates are pretty darn high here in Florida, that's for sure. So I'm sure, obviously there's a lot of competition with developing in different communities, more so in Florida than most places. What sets you apart, and what comes easy to you that you find others find challenging?
What sets us apart, I think, is I referenced the suite of parts. It's not just a bedroom community. You can age in place, you can age gracefully. Our commitment to health and wellness, I think, is unparalleled. We have 30 miles worth of trails. We have groups from running to cycling to yoga. I didn't know what Tai Chi was, but I came out on our grand lawn in the downtown, and there was 75 people doing Tai Chi. Took a picture and sent it to my wife. I'm like, what is going on? So I do feel like you can create a lifestyle that's uniquely yours and have a purpose when you're living at Welland Park that I don't think you can do everywhere else. I think you can do maybe 1 or 2 things, but not the suite of things. And I think that also transcends age. We are not catering just to my parents' age, or, I'm 55 plus, not just to my age, but we are getting more and more families who desire a great school system and just the sense of place and lifestyle. So I'm really, really proud of that. I think that's what makes us most unique.
Yeah, that is really unique that it's very diverse like that, because typical communities are, by age. There's the retirement communities, there's the first time home buyers, the ones that are moving up in their position in life and work and financially. So that's really neat that you've got a full-on community with schools, hospital there, and everything else, that there's something for everyone,
Correct.
which is
Correct.
awesome. And I mean, 11,000 square feet. I mean, that's how many zip codes is that?
So 11,000 acres, you can take our
Or
development.
acres, I'm sorry.
It's all right. I knew what you meant. We can take it and put it over 5 of the boroughs in New York City. That's how big we
Holy
are.
moly.
Right. So people they can't really wrap their heads around the scale. And when I was at Babcock, it was 15 to 17,000. So both those projects are probably some of the largest projects in the United States.
Sure. Sure. So what's one of the biggest challenges you've had to overcome in your career?
In my career,
Mhm.
I'm a pretty intense person. God wired me that way. I tend to work pretty quickly, and efficiency is important to me. I think as a leader, I've grown. I have to understand, in order to be the best leader, you need different talent on the team. And that talent shouldn't all be like you. It shouldn't operate like you. Others have superpowers that you don't have. And creating a team that, benefits through the greater good because everyone has a skill set. It's taken me years to understand that hiring people that aren't necessarily exactly like me is probably the best for the organization.
Sure. So, which that's going to lead me into, obviously, leading a team has its challenges. So, what's your leadership style, and can you give us an example of how it helped you through a tough spot?
My leadership style is don't ever ask anyone to do anything, including unplug the toilet or take out the trash that you wouldn't do yourself. I don't think they say there's no, small parts, only small actors. I feel the exact same way in running a company of this size. And I think my team knows that I will do whether I'm slinging mulch over my shoulder in order to, be ready for an opening. I wouldn't ask anyone to do anything I haven't done or wouldn't do myself. And I think you have to lead by example. So, pivot quickly, admit when you're wrong. I'm a big believer in raising my hand high and saying, I make mistakes every day. My
Sure.
team needs to know that you can make mistakes and still learn from them. And we've created an opportunity, we created an environment, I think, in the workspace where no one's allowed to be wrong. And to me, that's the only way you learn is when you make some of those mistakes, as you progress in your career. So creating an environment where it's okay to make mistakes, I think is important.
Sure. Sure. Absolutely. So, how do you encourage your team to think outside the box and bring new ideas to the table?
I have this thing where we say, especially in strategy meetings or creative, no bad ideas, and people say that all the time. But uh, at some point in a conversation, I'll say we're going to put that in the parking lot,
Sure.
meaning it's such a great idea. It may not be particularly relevant to the discussion we're having, but it's such a good idea. We want to get it down on paper, so we literally will write it on the whiteboard. And then I also have a philosophy which I've spoken about before, especially with women today, and I have three daughters. I said, I've shared with some mentees, speak the truth, even if your voice shakes. So often women in the room feel less than for no reason. And if you're at the table, you deserve to be at the table. So don't
Sure.
be afraid to stand up or speak up. Even if you are at a junior level marketing position and you're speaking in front of the executive committee, you're there for a reason. So don't be afraid to add value. And even if they don't agree with your idea, you've got to start someplace. So speak the truth, even if your voice shakes.
Sure. I agree with that 100%. So I'm one of those that has no problem speaking out loud
I
and
can't
proud.
imagine. I can't imagine you would have a problem. I've
Not
heard
me.
it.
Not moi. Um, so staying on top of any field is tough. What's something exciting you see in the horizon in your industry, and how are you getting ready for it?
What I find exciting is how people are living, and how they're commuting and traveling. So they're living smaller, where we back in the day it used to be the big McMansion, right? But
Yes.
people have been very mindful about the internal workings of a home and where you spend your time, energy, attention inside the home. Having that outdoor room be an extension, but you're not paying heating and cooling, you're not paying taxes on that. So I love the way that's progressed. And I also feel like we are not as beholden to the car as we have been in the past. I think the
Sure.
electric bike, I think our golf carts or low speed vehicles have changed the way we interact with our neighbors, interact with retail. Anything that's inside 2 miles, people are willing to jump on the golf cart and go. But that
Sure.
changes parking, right? That changes the parking requirements. And I think commercial developers like ourselves, pushing the municipalities to modify our parking requirements because the world is changing and how they get to and from, I think is pretty interesting.
Yeah, absolutely. And and with these communities, and especially like this one that you have going, it's people are becoming, like you said, they want smaller things, but they don't want to travel to go to yoga. They don't want to travel to go to the hospital, to groceries, where you're building this community that everything's there. I mean, like Ave Maria, it's everything's right there. There's the schools, the this, the that, and it's just it goes. It's kind of like going back in time to when the world started with villages,
Yeah.
and that's essentially what it is. So
Yeah.
it's like you don't.
I used to be the CEO of Seaside up in the Panhandle, and we had a tagline. This was called when New Urban first started, and it was called New Town Old Ways. So it was brand new, but it went back to how you could, all the front porches fronted the street. You had to walk by your neighbors. It was
Yes.
really close to have the interactions. You had footpaths to get from one place to another rather than having to jump in your car. And those principles of smart building and smart growth are essential in what we're doing today because land has just become less of a resource and it's obscenely expensive in some places. So you got to be able to develop smarter.
Sure. Absolutely. Um, so, what's a day in your life look like and how do you juggle work and everything else?
I live in Fort Myers, so I have a 62-mile commute one way every day. So I travel about 2 hours every day. Um, I pray in the morning, listen to music a little bit, usually a kind of an uplifting podcast or something positive, and then I'll strategize for the last half hour. So I'll feed in my to-do list, my action list, my priorities into my phone. So the minute I get into the office, I can immediately rock and roll. And I would say because we have so many different facets of the business, residential, commercial, healthcare, recreation, I'm a bit of a Swiss Army knife. I have experience in those disciplines. So not one day is ever the same, ever.
Sure, sure. And I mean, it's not possible for it to be with everything you've got going on. I mean, at all. So, speaking of podcasts, has there been a book, a podcast, or someone that's really changed your outlook or approach?
I love Your Move by Andy Stanley. It's a leadership podcast. It happens to be Christian based, but it's really about leadership. And it's what I call, you know, gender neutral in that it's not just for men or just for women. I think you can get a lot out of it. I just read Comer's book regarding hurry and the elimination of hurry. And it was so impactful to me that I wrote a few of his comments on my whiteboard that I'm staring at right now. So it's a constant reminder of, you know, we need to regenerate. And to do that, we have to slow down. And we're not being measured by how fast or how much we get done. It's the quality of the work and ensuring that we give ourselves time to slow
Sure.
down, reflect, strategize, and then lead. And that's what I'm working on now.
Yeah, just being present,
Yes.
in that moment and not trying to multitask 10,000
Too
things.
much. Yeah, multitask too
Yeah.
much. And tomorrow's another day. And I
Right.
struggle with that.
Yeah. Oh, I'm the same way. So I've learned to slow down, not by much, but nonetheless, I'm on the right path to slowing down. But
Good.
obviously,
I'm
juggle,
proud of
juggle,
you.
juggle. Yeah,
I'm proud of
right
you.
back at you,
Thank you.
right back at you. So, I'm sure managing finances is crucial both in business and in personal life. How do you approach financial planning to ensure stability and growth in both areas?
On the work side, inspect what you expect. I'm a big believer in getting down into the details of the data. I'm always frustrated when people publish reports, financial reports, but nobody looks at them.
Sure.
I came from consulting. I was at Ernst and Young, and everything was driven off the numbers. The numbers never lie. They can tell you where to go, where you need to improve. So part of it is really constant evaluation of the numbers and making sure you have people analyzing the data that is provided to you. That's from the work side, because it allows you to get more proactive in terms of your decision making to be more profitable. I would say on my personal side, I've got three girls, which means I've got three weddings. I've had two
Yes.
kids, I've had two colleges already. The planning aspects of getting my amazing wife who homeschooled all my kids and stays home. We're blessed to do that. That was a choice we made. But being able
Yeah.
to have the dialogue about where the priorities are, because what I found, and I think it's probably in business too, but in my personal life, my priorities sometimes aren't her priorities. They're just not.
Sure.
They
No.
just couldn't be. So making sure that we align those when we go into financial planning and or spending or what we say budgeting in air quotes.
Yeah. Like there's
We bust the budget a fair amount, but
sure.
it's usually based on those priorities. So
Right. It's like it's one of those wink wink. Um, well, it sounds like things are going really well for you and your business. As you're looking towards the future, I'm wondering if or how you create passive income or if you've invested in the past. What are some investments for passive income that
uh,
you've done?
passive income, rental properties.
Okay.
I've invested myself in real estate. I've actually never invested in my own communities. I felt like there
Hmm.
was always, even though I had opportunities to, right? Because I set pricing, right? For the most part.
Sure.
I just have never done that. I always felt like it was a little bit too close. I've
I-
invested regionally in regions where I've led developments. But so, at one point, I think we had 5 or 6 rental properties, and my wife said after we got rid of them all that we would never do it again because it's another full-time job. I mean, it's passive, but you still, if you rent it, it's not always
Yeah.
passive. And then, we work with a financial advisor and we make conscious choices about where we want to invest and where our risk tolerance is associated with that, which is really important to have somebody listen to
Sure.
you and dialogue what that looks like. And I would say you're going to laugh at this, but I've invested in people.
Yeah. Yeah.
I've really, whether we have helped set somebody up financially to be able to run their own business, or we've assisted them when things haven't really worked out the way they wanted to, but we believed in what their vision was. I think my wife and I have chosen to invest in some people and some of
Sure.
their dreams. So
Yeah, and that's a beautiful thing. It's absolutely beautiful, especially when you know that person believes in that vision, is that passionate, and
yeah,
is, just needs a little helping hand. Just needs
yeah,
a little financial backing and support from somebody that is an entrepreneur and that is successful.
yeah. My
So
wife has this philosophy though, when we make that kind of investment or we give into somebody else's dream, I never expect anything in return.
sure,
Like you
yeah,
give it because you give it generously, but you
right,
don't do it saying, okay, I'm going to take a 10% pref of your first earnings. You do it
yeah.
because you believe in the person, not that and that you asked about the passive. So that would be,
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah, yeah. I mean, it's doing a good deed, like 110% good deed with no strings attached.
no strings attached.
It's not like hey, guess what? I just helped this person out for bragging rights. And there's a lot of
No,
people that do that. And it's like, did you
yeah,
do
yeah.
it for
What's
yourself or,
your motivation? Yeah,
yeah,
I'm with you.
but so that's great. Well, as we're wrapping our interview up, what exciting plans or initiatives do you have planned for the next 6 to 12 months? What do you got going on?
6 to 12 months. My oldest daughter is getting married, so that's a personal initiative. On
That's
the work
exciting.
side, that's a big deal, right? And I have a senior in college, so that'll be interesting as well to see what happens with her life. I'm assuming she won't move back. I think she'll probably kind of do it on her own, though maybe her mom would like it. On the business side, it's very interesting. As I said, we're diverse in terms of our initiatives. And so, if the real estate market is tapping the brakes on your $500,000 home, we're selling homes north of 3 million, 3.5 million. So, it's interesting that the price points between a 1.5 and 3.5 are really continuing to move. Cash buyers are coming from all
Hmm.
over the US. Our market from the New York and Chicago markets, they weren't even in our top feeder markets before, and now they are. So I think we're going to be much more strategic about ensuring we have the right product for the right person, the right buyer.
Sure.
That'll be important. And then we're opening up our second phase of our downtown. We opened a downtown in 2023 with event space and playgrounds and food trucks, permanent, and we're adding phase two, which is another 50,000 square feet of office and retail, which
Well,
will
that's fun.
which will be wonderful. We're excited about that.
Yeah, so that's kind of like, so you're setting up like different squares,
I do. Yeah. We have a
little
main
town
square,
squares.
like kind of a main and high, and then we have other nodes where we have Publix anchored shopping centers or other retail centers. Yes.
Sure. Yeah, it almost sounds similar to the villages, because they've
Yeah.
got
I
the same
mean,
setup, except they're more of a 55 or 60 plus
yeah,
community.
they're 55 plus. And
Yeah,
we're number one in the nation. We're six in the nation in terms of sales. Uh,
yeah,
so yeah, very similar. Other
yeah.
than it's all, my age and older.
Right, right. Yeah, yeah. And I think I heard that they're starting to go after more of younger families
They
and
are.
their
I was just in a
expansion.
meeting. I was just in a
Yeah,
meeting. Sorry, I didn't interrupt you. Day before yesterday, and somebody from the villages was speaking. We were all kind of a round table, and he said their biggest challenge was workforce. So until they started being able to sell to people who were 55 and younger, they were
yeah.
having trouble like getting folks to serve you your cocktail or, you know, do your dry cleaning. That was really a challenge. So they started doing development where they don't have the age restriction.
Yeah, which is smart,
Yeah,
and
absolutely.
something that large and all these different little squares and activities that go on, like why not bring in the youths
Correct.
and amp it up a little bit and have the new generations coming through and the second and so on.
Absolutely.
So yeah.
Absolutely.
So well, you've got a good thing going. It's exciting to hear about it. And thank you so much for your time and coming on today. If anyone wanted to get a hold of you or find out about your development and want to come check the community out or possibly move in, how does one get a hold of you?
Easiest way is go on the website, wellandpark.com. You're going to find everything relative to the lifestyle. And my name is Rick Severance, and you can reach me either on LinkedIn, or you can Google me, and you can get my corporate email address, and I pick up the phone every time. I promise you. I actually don't have an assistant, so it'll come right to my desk. I promise.
Awesome. So there you have it, guys. If you want to get a hold of Rick, that's how you get a hold of him and go check out his project. And maybe you guys, someone, your family, or friend might move in and just retire there as well. Since you don't have to leave, it's a one-stop shop. Thanks
Thank,
again. Thank you, Rick.
thank you very much.
Thanks, guys. We'll see you next time.
Thanks for listening to Driven, the Unscripted Success Podcast. Want to share your story? Apply to be a guest at drivensuccesspodcast.com/guest.